start his legislative committee meeting.
All right, well, let's get our legislative committee meeting going for January 10th.
27.
Yeah, sorry, I was looking at the minutes from the last one. January 27th, 2022, in attendance is Councilperson Suresh. He's gonna probably just do tutorial last.
You got it.
Shrestha. Councilperson Wolf. Councilperson Koss and Councilperson Mara. And it's nice camera, thank you.
Camera.
Ah, that's what that little symbol was for. All right, real quick, we'll hold off on that because people we need just walked away, all of them. We have several, is this including the one that got sent late?
I think that's
I saw an email saying.
I think that's the supplemental
apologize.
appropriations, yeah, that's the first one.
Okay, so that is the first one?
Yep, there was just an addition to it.
Gotcha. So we're looking for supplemental appropriations, this is it. Well, why don't you just tell us what it is there, Leah?
The first one, in the general fund, it says income tax, oh no, I'm sorry. That's actually labeled wrong, I'm so sorry, I need to make,
Additional changes.
I do. It's actually not named income tax administration, it's for Franklin County Emergency Management. We kind of have to guesstimate what the annual siren fees are gonna be for the year. And we're $16 off, so. That little $16 needs to be appropriated for that.
Is the fund number correct, just the label is wrong?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I'm making a note to update that.
Okay, I put that down so I can point it out during the reading.
The account number is correct though.
Gotcha, and it's $16 because we underpaid for the sirens, fair enough. Mayor's Court, it looks like is increasing by 12,000.
Yes, and that is for the Franklin County Municipal Court prosecutor. She has actually increased her contract this year by $12,000.
And so what we're saying is we're changing the 2022 budget to reflect that?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. And then insurance went up by $195, that makes sense. And we're putting an extra $500 in the Mary Yost Fund.
That's for trees.
Appropriating from, yeah.
Oh, taking from.
Yes.
And what's that appropriation to be used for? I must have missed it.
Planning and zoning trees.
Oh, wonderful.
Recommendation from planning and zoning.
Wonderful. I hope they use natives.
All
Yes.
right, and I think we have everyone here. As per the request of admin, I was going to look to waive readings and pass as an emergency.
So the first thing is it's an appropriation, appropriations never
Doesn't
meant
need
to
to
be
be
passed
as
as
an
an emergency.
emergency, because they can't be.
Yeah. They automatically.
But I was gonna waive readings so we can pay Franklin County in
Mhm.
various places. Anyone have anything to say on that?
Nope.
Okay, moving on to 2022-02. Oh, entering into a contract with Resource International, Inc. for the pavement condition assessment. If we just would've left them on the list, we wouldn't have to do this. But what are you gonna do?
Right.
This will be just a first reading. I know at least two of us here were at the streets committee the other day. This is, having them look around at all of our streets and tell us what condition they're in and which one needs repaired.
They do a very in-depth analysis using like ground penetrating radar and survey tools and all that. They will then provide us with, they'll provide us with an idea of what bits of our pavement are in the best shape, which is in the worst shape, where we can focus our money for doing street repairs.
They're focusing on a certain area of the whole.
That'll be the whole village.
And then they'll tell us that the intersection of 161 and Minerva Park is where we need to fix. But
Not 161, Cleveland
Avenue.
Cleveland and Maplewood.
And
is-
Maplewood.
I'm sure that was one of the
Yeah.
only two bits of failing pavement when we did this 5 years ago, or 6 years ago, 7 years ago. That and Valley Lane were the only failing bits of pavement then, and we haven't fixed either of those. So
I thought I
those,
heard something about over by the pool.
yeah, that's Valley Lane.
Oh,
That's, that little spur.
Yeah, yeah, underloved because, there's only 2 houses on it.
Yeah, but it's used a lot.
They are
Oh.
just as much citizens as anyone else, because they're just as
Oh,
nice
I
and
know.
roads.
All right,
Okay, resolution 2022-03 is looking to change our fee schedule. Exhibit A, do I have that? No, I do not. So I cannot speak to what's being
and
changed.
she gave you an abbreviated, here, is
The
it,
resolution to amend and revise the Minerva Park
Yeah,
Basic.
it's in the full packet, but I think you asked only for an abbreviated packet.
I just need the stuff I need, or they can
Yeah,
give me a
here,
computer and I'll look it up on
it's
the
right of
computer.
way permit, that fee went up is going up to
2 hours,
500.
okay.
And that's going up, and then there's an asterisk, and all that she has, we'll correct a couple typo in the asterisk, and we should use a different symbol for some of the page, but that asterisk refers to the bottom,
Yeah,
in which we've got some language, because what happens is, we have to charge, we get charged for a minimum of 2 hours, most of these jobs are between 1 and 2 hours anyways, just like the work we did up on 161. But once in a while, we get a big run, and those are beyond, so we stipulate we're gonna rebill,
Yeah.
essentially, much like we do with the engineer's work.
Puts it into, with
So
what
it's
we're
like they
paying.
were changing it to $500?
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's fine, yeah.
Yeah.
That'll cover
it
2 hours.
previously was like,
250.
yeah, so it's going from 250 to 500, but it's to reflect our actual cost for
The true
the
cost.
work
Yeah.
that needs to be done
So we
to,
just under budgeted it.
Well,
Well,
we started getting hit
it's-
with a lot of requests,
yeah.
and it changed, fees changed, so.
it's also, I don't think that
Oh wait,
number's
$3
been,
flash drive, though, we forgot about that.
Oh, yeah, that one, the flash drive. It's a public request thing now.
Yeah, I think that was due to a request that was too large for a disc. I think it was a meeting.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
if we provide the flash drive, then we're gonna charge for it,
yeah.
Yeah.
so,
If they bring their own, they're good.
that's right.
Yeah.
So those
I
are.
mean, we're not giving them the best one we can buy, we're giving them the one that has just enough memory to fit. Here's your 2 gig, be happy. Alright, 2022-04, resolution accepting the amounts and rates determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and notifying to the county auditor and declaring an emergency. I think I know what this is, but Leah, can you tell us what it is?
Yes, it's the exact same resolution you passed last year regarding the budget, but the levy passed. So these are just the new numbers. But we do have to get this passed as soon as possible so I can get it over to.
Gotcha, so all this is saying, hey, yes, our levy did pass, and now we want to make it official.
This is what we anticipate to collect from the levy.
Is there a way to not make any of these an emergency? I understand it's like a time issue, but I really don't feel super comfortable with
So,
the large quantity of emergency resolutions.
Well, the first one's
So-
not an emergency, so
yeah,
that's.
so when it comes to emergency, right, it's really more of a misnomer,
Correct.
right? Because what it's about is whether or not you are leaving it open for a resident's right to referendum, right?
Right.
Whether it goes in effect as soon as it passes, or as soon as the mayor signs it after we pass it, or not, right? And so, in a case like this, right, where we have to return a document back to the county to be able to effectively collect our funds, right? Yeah, so while emergency is a scary language, it is an effective tool that is necessary. So I think that blanketly saying let's do less
Yeah, that is what.
is less good than saying let's be smart about it.
All I'm saying is, can we just, I understand that sometimes we can't, but can we just be a little more proactive, so it doesn't, so we have enough
So,
time?
well, we only just got these documents back from the county.
Yeah, there's documents that, and due to
Yeah.
the mail service right now, it's also gonna be causing an issue.
Yes.
So there's
Yeah.
certain things that you get back from Franklin County, and unfortunately with Franklin County, they don't give us, but they want us to turn it around really fast too, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
So what I would say is that on legislation that we are in full control of,
Right.
yeah.
we
I
can
would like to hear
certainly be respectful of that, right?
Yeah.
But on legislation that we are not in control of, like this, we are kind of at the mercy of the county.
I think it would be a really good idea for us to just say that during the council meeting as well, just so, because this question comes up all the time, like, emergency is such, it's such strong language that a lot of people are put off by it, in my opinion.
I
So
have to
if,
stay for that.
I know, it's super great. I'm not saying, I think it's really important to justify why we're doing this.
And I-
And just saying that while we're passing it, I think would be a really good
I think you'll
way
note,
to open
We
that.
generally do
Give
that
a
think
little
when we
bit
do.
more
Yeah.
trust.
I think you'll
to
note
the
if you,
village.
if you go back over the time that Councilperson Brugler has been the chair of legislation, reading the legislation, I think you'll note that he has in fact done an excellent job of that. Is
As
what I
well
was
as
telling.
providing details of legislation,
I'll-
which is not
Yeah.
actually required.
Yeah.
All that's required for a reading is a reading
I'll
of the
also throw
title
in-
and then moving on.
That doesn't mean we can't do more.
I'll also throw in a little dig
Our point
that's,
is we do.
I'll throw in a dig to say that the charter that didn't pass explicitly called that out as a requirement within the charter. So, just a little, salty on my wounds.
So that is all the legislation we have on the docket for tonight. Eric has handed out,
Oh, go ahead. What do you, oh yeah, that,
the one piece of not pending, but legislation we actually have to look at and work on.
This is a
exempted
carryover
signs.
from November-ish
Previous.
last year.
Did you
Exempted
email that out
signs.
so that oh, it's right here, it's actually a piece of paper in front of you.
Yes, that I said, Eric just typed it out. I mean,
Paper.
he walked around and
I'll
handed it
email
to
out
us.
for the meeting. What I wanted to talk
Signs
about
must be
real quick
maintained.
with this was, I know we talked about it in November.
Yeah.
Having it 2 months and a lot of stuff has passed in between, I'm not sure, I know Jesse did a turn on this, I know we talked about it. I wanted to make sure everyone was good with what we saw, I wasn't sure how we left it.
We put it off on my recommendation in November, we pushed it back to the background.
Okay.
Mostly because I thought as were gonna have 2 or 3 perhaps new council persons, this was a good sort of, hey, let's look at code, let's look at how to change it, let's look at what that looks like.
Okay, so in the last meeting, it was good, we did touch, Mark, I think right before you came in, on what our complete code rewrite was gonna cost, and I prepped you for that, 'cause that was another topic in the legislation, so that was gonna be 35 grand, we'll put an appropriation on the next meeting, assuming council is good with us getting that forward, and Frost Brown will then get an addendum for you to review on what their scope will be on that too. Now, in light of that, this however is a piece of important one that we had carried from last year, I think that, planning and zoning had recommended up to you, so it is on the docket. And it's an important one to get fixed, and we can obviously, our work's not lost on this whenever we go through the code rewrite.
Alright, now I know all this stuff in here and I'm fine with it, would you like to explain to the new members,
Absolutely.
what's going on and what they're looking at?
So part of our joyous 1989 code, this was a particularly egregious one. You can no longer, well, in fact, before several Supreme Court decisions, you could no longer, we can no longer enforce this code under E, which is what is scratched. People can put up whatever message they want and leave it up there, and as long as it's in good condition, right, we can only go after them when it starts falling apart and looks faded and stuff like that. And so as long as some standards of non-junk are maintained, if it's not junk, then they keep that message up there forever.
Is the size, I saw that 6 square foot, is that actually something that is enforceable?
Yes,
Okay.
it is, because these are time, place, manner. So Jesse did, like I said, Jesse
Time,
did a
place,
turn
manner.
on this.
Yeah.
And we can keep everybody to the same size
Right.
at the moment. Now, there's some, I know he looked at this carefully because there was a recent Sixth Circuit Court decision on this that affected some of these speeches with commercial signs. So I believe we have the latest one. Of course, now that we're reconsidering it, we'll get another re-look at it, depending on what council would like to see done in this case.
I guess my question is how do flags fit into this? So it's a political flag?
Well, so the flag is a specifically defined symbol of the United States, right?
No, not our flag.
Political flag.
Right,
A political flag is a political sign.
Okay, so
Right.
it falls under the 6 feet.
Yeah.
6 square feet, that's,
Square feet.
Yeah, so these
your
some of these
3x5
flags.
flag is 15 square feet though.
The what?
It's
Your
interesting thing you
3x5
bring
flag
up.
is 15 square feet.
I would consider those to be, I would term those to be aerial devices. Quite frankly, they're not signed in the standard definition that we're putting down here. So right at this moment in time, that's an excellent question, because that had,
Like,
I
can we
had-
put that in there?
well, yes, I'll bring it up with the legal counsel and see how that's read in the case law. But it's one of those things that we can get the standard flag size, because most people have standard flag size. And if we keep them all to the same, requirement, that way someone can't put up the giant Perkins, 500 square foot flag, you know, which,
Right.
you know, can happen.
So a standard flag is typically 3 by 5,
Yeah.
which is 15 square feet.
Yep.
I would
And
go
then a
up to,
large
I would,
is 4 by 6.
yeah, I would say give at least, give up to 4 by 6 if we're gonna do a thing.
Okay.
And I say that because I'm not sure how big one of my flags is,
And
but
we'll
if
find
it's a
out.
reasonably large one, it might be 4 by 6.
So we'll find an appropriate definition, like I said, whether it's an aerial device of some type
Yeah.
that looks like a flag, but it's obviously not a pure flag symbol, you know, like an official one from a
Right.
political entity, because those are their own definitions.
That's what I'm saying.
But they are forms of political speech, obviously, so we will,
I mean, should we even pass this, or should we wait until?
oh, no, this isn't on the
This
agenda.
is,
This is
this is,
Alright.
yeah, this hasn't been put into,
Right, these
Alright, yeah,
are,
but flags, I feel like there's a lot of political flags, and
There are.
you don't, that's gonna raise a lot of questions.
So if that, I'll tell you how I would interpret that when you look at this, since that is not defined in there, by the way that I stated, they would be allowed as they are, right, until we restrict them in some form that's a time.
and currently, according to this, exempt from the provision of the chapters are any flag, pennant, or insignia of any nation, state, city, or political group.
Correct, but a political statement flag, like the ones across the street are good examples, are not official flags.
Right.
Therefore, it will fall under a separate definition.
right, political unit
Yeah.
might be the.
State
the-
of Massachusetts.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
Before we get into some sort of debate that involves a lawyer or so, I think we need to define as much as possible,
Mhm. Yep,
to save some money.
Wait.
yeah, so I think that's a good comment on that, and probably, does anybody else have any other comment on this? So if you could take that away to Jesse for clarification, that would be good. Do you wanna, I know we talked about it in the finance committee meeting, but would you like to talk to this committee about the, Jesse, the project that you are proposing with the
Correct.
Cross Brown Todd?
Correct.
Yeah.
So brief mention, so the code rewrite, for the members that weren't here at the earlier meeting, code rewrite is not to exceed 35,000. That's a high number, both Jesse and I feel, just because the Frost Brown Todd group that makes that quote, you know, they're looking at code as a voluminous and very time-consuming item. We know our code is not as time-consuming as that. We think the number will come in around 20 as far as the final numbers are concerned. But we'll have to appropriate 35,000 and then enter into agreement with Frost Brown. So we can have that ready at the next meeting, for council's
and they
consideration.
go through and look for inconsistencies. and-
Well, this is an entire rewrite.
Entire
So
rewrite.
it is starting, maybe not quite starting from scratch, but taking
Close
the
enough.
intention of our current code and writing it
Yeah.
cleanly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I have comments about that in August. Here we go, the thing I don't know about is finance, and that's why I talk so much, but here we go, legislation. Definitely wanna focus on the definition of what a shared driveway is. Anybody have anything else to add? I feel like now's a good time to at least start talking about
It
it.
will be, I guarantee that once the council approves that and Frost Brown Todd is engaged,
Yeah.
we'll probably have a number of, these legislative meetings will be busy with it, as well, from a zoning standpoint, the chapter 12 of planning and zoning. So we will be active, because our zoning code, quite frankly, from my view of it, our zoning code is a complete rewrite, right? In order, we have to match up the details of our current subdivisions. Now, this subdivision has its own plan development tax that is, different, but we can codify that, it's already done and it's new. Our
Yeah.
maintenance code is pretty new, it's only a few years old, we
Yeah.
borrowed it from the ICC, whatever. So, but the majority of the 1989 code, anything predating it has to go away, and we have to rewrite it to match our laws to make everything conform to this point in time. There should be very few legal non-conforming situations in the village.
Just got a
And-
flashback
and-
hearing legal non-conforming.
Yeah, and the shared driveway situation can be a definition, but we don't, as of this time, there are no shared driveways. So,
As far as
that
the
are
village
platted
is
or,
concerned.
yeah, I mean,
Okay.
there aren't, they don't exist. You
I
can,
mean-
that's
They're
okay.
common in.
Well, we don't know if there are any, I don't
I
think,
don't have a
I don't
recorded
think that
easement that I know of,
okay, right.
but
they
from what I
could-
see
Yeah,
on the map, there may be one or two others that could
right.
be.
Or they-
There are none that are known to us.
Definition of it, so
Yeah.
it doesn't even matter, because there's just, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah. and-
It wasn't on that, like, what we did, like I said in that hearing, if we had a plat, and the plat called that out, because that would be a planned development, and the plat would call those things out to where they were, and there'd be easements marked on the plat, that would be very clear. right? And that would tell us what they were, but that doesn't exist,
What
so.
about like because I looked it up online too. This is how far I've gone down the rabbit hole. But like even a private agreement between two residents should be sufficient, right?
That would be just a maintenance agreement, yeah,
Yeah.
someone can provide that, we would hope that would be recorded in some
Right.
method, right?
Something that gives
Right.
each party a right, right?
Yeah,
So
just
that's-
something,
Yeah.
just to protect people.
But what I suspect will happen is as Frost Brown Todd starts working on this, where there are questions or needs for clarification, they'll come to legislation or they'll come to planning and zoning,
We'll get drafts,
get
maybe,
those right,
yeah.
and then we'll mark them
It's
on.
not something we need to start making language tonight.
Yeah, exactly, it's gonna be a voluminous, multi-month process,
Mhm.
right? It'll take us through it'll be a nice project for, everyone, and I think that's honestly, that's a big feather in the caps of everyone involved with that, much like many of these other projects that are on the books this year. Because that sets the village up for goodness for, I think, for the next 50 years. Right? Makes it so much easier to manage things and deal with things, so.
Yeah.
Anybody have anything else for legislation? I'm sorry, I'm driving your bus,
That's all
sorry.
right, yeah. So we have, looking at the 6 square feet thing, and then we'll get this, another look at this, maybe we'll just knock it out at the next work session,
Okay.
and we can get it done up. And yes, we're coming in till 5 till 7, I know a lot of people have been here for an hour already in meetings, you might wanna have a break before the 7 o'clock meeting.
Yep.
You have something real quick?
We have pictures
Oh
before
yeah,
you
we're
bring
supposed to
them.
get our pictures taken.
We gotta get our pictures taken.
All right,
Move to adjourn?
Seconded, and.
I just didn't wanna ruin anybody's break thing.